Okay guys, this next story was submitted to me by a guy and it's about ladyboys, about transgender women, so yeah, let's jump into it. I am what some people would call a down low, not straight person, since I am strictly attracted to trans women, or ladyboys as they are famously referred to in Thailand. But I am not attracted to men or feminine men at all. It is hard for me to describe. I am 21 years old from London, and nobody there knows that I am attracted to transgender women. They don't even know that my current girlfriend in London is transgender. That's how good she looks. I got rich from crypto. I got lucky with Luna. Lost a lot after the crash, but I sold more than 30% when it peaked, and I entered when it cost close to nothing. I graduated university and went straight to any ladyboy lover's dreamland, Thailand. My girlfriend was understandably angry at me for just upping and leaving with no return ticket booked or reason for going, but I didn't care. I love her, but I don't see her as a long-term partner. The only reason I haven't broke up with her yet is because I'm worried about what she would do when I do. I feel like I'm trapped in this relationship. Part of the reason going to Thailand was to get away from her as far as possible. As soon as I landed at 11:45 p.m, I got out of the airport quickly due to my ticket being first class, booked my hotel close to Nana Plaza as I heard this was the best place to find ladyboys, showered and hit the strip by 1:30 a.m, and I was blown away at the beauty that I saw. I thought my girlfriend looked good, but the ladyboys here were on another level. When you date trans girls, you learn to clock when another girl is trans very easily, so I knew exactly which girls were ladyboys and which weren't, and most of the ladyboys looked better than the ladies. Maybe just my preference. So I got some smoke, sat down at a bar and had a few beers, when I saw a stunner walking past. I flagged her down and she sat down with me. Her English wasn't the best and my Thai was non-existent as I just landed a few hours ago, but I got straight to the point. I asked her how much and she said 4,000 for long time at my place. I got her down to 2,000, and once we agreed, she told me that she rode a moped and that she'd ride us back to my hotel, which was about 5 minutes away. The whole ride back I was teasing her and she was loving it. She said she'd never been with a black man before, and her, like all the other ladies, were fascinated with my hair, always touching it. We got back to my room and I gave her an experience she'll always have flashbacks of. Literally put her to sleep until 4 p.m. the next day. When she woke up, I gave her an extra 2,000 and asked her to leave, since my girlfriend was requesting to FaceTime me. She took the money, threw it on the dressing table and got back into bed. I ignored the calls from my girlfriend and we went at it again. Me and this girl was very compatible, which I think a lot more people need to realise is very important for a relationship. Fast forward 3 days, she was pretty much living with me. We would order grab, smoke, and we even had fun at the hotel pool and the gym. I believe I fell out of love with my girlfriend during this period, but not in love with this girl. She was just a breath of fresh air from my always nagging girlfriend and better in the bedroom. I was going to Hong Kong in 2 days, and when I told Alita, my Thai ladyboy's name, that I was going, she started crying. Not bawling, but a few tears, while she was asking me why and if she would see me again. I told her that I'd be back in a couple of days, since I only booked the Hong Kong ticket because I thought that you needed a return ticket to enter Thailand. If you're a British passport holder, I guess they don't really care. The day before I was supposed to fly to Hong Kong, me and my girlfriend in London had an argument. So I said, what the hell, and asked Alita if she wanted to come with me to Hong Kong. She was so excited and she said yes. Keep in mind guys, Alita is 23 and I'm 21, but she's like half my size. I had a first class ticket to Hong Kong, so I booked Alita, the same one next to me. We went to Hong Kong for 5 days and had a great time. Alita hit me with, "I love you," but I didn't say it back because I don't love her. I just fell out of love with my girlfriend back home. We flew back to Thailand 3 weeks ago and we've been living in Pattaya ever since. One of my friends lives in Pattaya. He's a game developer who works remotely. He found me a 2-bedroom apartment with a big balcony for £900 a month, so I took it. When my girlfriend back home would call me, I'd just make an excuse after 5 minutes to end the call, gave her less attention and hoped that she'd take the hint. Not nice, but it was a lose-lose for me. If I break up with her, she could ruin me in so many ways. So the only way is to get her to end it with me. I gave Alita an American Express under my account, so whatever she needs, she can buy, though she spends barely anything. I still get with other ladyboys and get separate hotel rooms for the night to spend with them. I just don't bring them back to the apartment out of respect for Alita, even though I make it clear to her that we are not exclusive, but as long as I'm taking care of you, you're not allowed to be with anyone else but me. She seems okay with the arrangement, but gets angry when I come back at 10 AM the next day because she knows what I've been up to. I've met Alita's parents and even gave them 20k back, since I've heard in Thai culture that's what you do. They didn't even ask me and were surprised. Me and Alita fly to London next week as her visa just got approved. I still haven't broken up with my current girlfriend and Alita knows this. She's just convinced that I'll pick her over my girlfriend, which is most likely what I'm going to do. I'm only going back to London to see family for a few days. I'm not trying to be in that gloomy place for too long. I'm coming straight back to Pattaya. I prefer Pattaya over Bangkok. More peaceful and I prefer the ladyboys. But hey, wish me luck guys. Thailand is the only place I can freely be myself and I love it. Alright guys, this next story was submitted and it's a short one. It's about a chap that is talking about meeting his Filipino wife. So yeah, it's a success story, makes a change. So we'll jump into it. Hi, I'd like to tell my story about my Filipino wife because I always read sad stories here. I want to show that there are nice stories also. About 10 years ago, I got a friend request from a Philippine girl via Facebook. Normally, I don't add people who I didn't meet, but for one reason or another, I had the feeling I had to confirm this request, so I did. At that time, I was about 3 years divorced. The first few months, we didn't say much more than an occasional hi and how are you doing. After a while, she changed her profile picture and it was quite disturbing. So I started to chat with her and ask her if she was doing okay. From one thing came another and we started chatting more and more till we chatted several hours every day. From the chatting, the video calling started and we became great friends. I started to have feelings for her, but was a bit afraid to tell her. Her little cousin broke the ice by asking if we fancied each other. A bit shy, we both admitted this. We kept on chatting and video calling until I proposed that I come and visit her in the Philippines. A lot of my friends told me not to do it, going from it's a scam to it's a man, but I went anyway, thinking if it didn't work out, I would have a holiday in a country I wouldn't visit normally. As it turned out, it went great. She picked me up at the airport and it felt like driving home from a long business trip. We had such a great time together, visiting a few of the beautiful islands, meeting her family, it was a pain in my heart that I had to leave to go back home. We kept on chatting and calling. About 5 months later, I was again in the Philippines and we arranged to get married. I picked her up in the beginning of the next year to come to Europe and get married. Since then, we have had our ups and downs like every other married couple. The downs, most of the time because of cultural and language issues. But we both worked it out together and love each other dearly. She has a nice job here, we have a few kids together which made our bond even stronger. Since she is here, I am really happy and she makes my life worth living. This is my story about falling in love with a beautiful Thai girl. I met Tip when I was stationed in the Middle East. I had been away from home for over a year and was lonely. It was in the beginning stages of COVID, so all the bars and the restaurants were shut down. I went to a friend's house party as that was the only thing to do. He was in a long-term relationship with a Thai woman and she always had a lot of her friends over at the house. The first night I met Tip, I was instantly attracted to her. We made eye contact and smiled from across the room. I was playing a card game called Kang or Chang with some other girls and Tip came over to help me understand the game. She helped me learn the game and when it was late, I got up and called an Uber to go home. I was standing waiting for the Uber to come and Tip patted the seat at the table next to her, wanted me to come and sit by her again. I told her I had to go and my Uber was coming, so I had to leave. Later that week, my friend told me that Tip was upset that I did not take her home with me. A few weeks later, I went back to my friend's house and Tip was there again. We again played cards, but this time the flirting was more serious and I was placing my hand on her thigh and she was touching me also. That night, I took her home with me and that is when I fell for her. We had a wonderful night together and she stayed the next day and the night with me as well. We talked and learned a lot about each other and she told me she worked in a bakery making desserts for a local hotel. She began staying with me most nights every week. She would spend the night and I would drop her off at her place when I went to work in the mornings. I started to pay attention to her schedule and she would sometimes work into the evenings and come over late in the night. Sometimes I would already be in bed when she would come over and she would just join me. I did not think too much of this though. After about a month, she told me she needed to go and work in a hotel and would be gone for a few days. I asked if she was helping the restaurant there and she told me she was going to do lady work. I did not fully understand this as I was a bit naive, but when I realised what she was doing for work, I stopped seeing her. But I always thought about her and I missed her very much. About 3 weeks of not seeing her, I invited her back to my place and we resumed our relationship. I came to terms with her work, and honestly, work was very slow for her since COVID was at its peak. After being with her for about 6 months, it was time for me to rotate back to the States and I had to leave her. My last weekend with her was amazing and we both cried when I had to go to the airport because we had fallen in love. After being at home, it wasn't long before she started to ask me to send money, which I did for about 3 months. It wasn't long before I felt taken advantage of, so I stopped sending the money and we stopped talking altogether. About a year later, I saw a social media post that she was in hospital, so I reached out to her to see if she was okay. We began talking again and there was never mention of any money, so I felt we were genuinely in love. We talked for about 8 months like this until I had the opportunity to go back to Bahrain for work. I would be there for a little over 30 days, and she greeted me at the airport with flowers. She spent the whole time with me in my hotel, and we lived as a married couple. It was really amazing. We made plans for me to retire the service in about a year, and we would go to Thailand to live off my retirement. We also decided on a salary that I would provide her until then. This was great for about 3 months after I returned home, and then it all fell apart like a house of cards, or maybe lies I should say. One day I received a random message from someone I didn't know. I was curious, so I responded to it. It was her boyfriend, and he sent me pictures of them two together, as well as pictures of him in her room with her. She was taking the money I was sending her and paying for an apartment with her boyfriend, as well as food and utilities. I confronted her about this, and she immediately lied about it. I sent her the pictures, and she claimed it was work and he was a customer. I did not believe this and broke things off immediately. Even though the experience had a bad ending, there were so many positives that came out of our relationship. I still would like to retire in Thailand and will still try to find a beautiful Thai woman to live out my life with.